Thank you very much, Jessica. It's really a pleasure to be here today. My name is Gorana Gumirac, and I am a licensed for C region in Let's Connect working group, but also a manager at Wikimedia Serbia. So today we will talk about very important topic that we have all encountered at one point or another. We all had some crisis in communication because Wikipedia became such a big source of information, and sometimes media and publicity have some crisis around us. So today we will talk on how to handle that and how to solve that. We will have this learning clinic with Wikimedia Foundation, Wikimedia Poland, and Wikimedia. So we will have very diverse opinions and points of view, and we do really encourage all of you to share your experience, your thoughts, to ask questions, to ask any one of us whatever you would like to know more. So this space is very safe and friendly, and I will tell you a little bit more about it. But before we go to that, I will give a word to Maciej so he can present himself as well.
Yes, thank you, Gorana. Hi, my name is Maciej Nadzikewicz. I used to be a part of the Let's Connect working group for the Central Eastern Europe and Northwestern Europe. I used to serve on the governance board of Wikimedia Poland, and now I am a board member at Wikimedia Europe. And together with Gorana and Jessica, and with our lecturers from Wikimedia Poland, Wikimedia Italy, and the Wikimedia Foundation Comms Department, we'd like to welcome you to this learning clinic on communication and its less pleasant part. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maciej. Okay, so we can go to our slides and short introduction to Let's Connect program and what are we actually doing? What does it mean to Let's Connect? And what kind of clinics we do have. So as I said, today we will have our dear sharers from Wikimedia Italy, Wikimedia Poland, and Wikimedia Foundation. Our speakers from Wikimedia Poland are Natalia and Jolanta, Wikimedia Foundation, Barbara and Vidu, and Wikimedia Italia, we have Paolo. So as I said, we will have very diverse points of view and some solutions and examples on what was happening in their cases, maybe or what to do in some kind of situation. So today we will talk about communication crisis prevention and management. So we will talk on how to see the early signs of communication crisis, how to prevent it from becoming bigger, or when it unfortunately becomes bigger, how to manage it, how to solve the issue, and how to solve that crisis in a very good and Wikimedian kind of a way. And what is Let's Connect? So Let's Connect is a peer learning program that was founded by Wikimedia Foundation, but it involves very big part of Wikimedians, the Wikimedians community. The thing that is very interesting about Let's Connect is that it is consisted of people from all around the world. So we have people from Europe, Africa, Asia, Latin America. So we have really people from all around the world. As you can see on our participants, we are really encouraging diversity, and anyone who is interested in Wikimedia related stuff to join us, so we can cover as many topics as needed, and we can talk about many topics as we want. So we're here to have a good time as well. As you can see, it's Friday. In some parts of the world, it's like a Friday evening, and instead of going out, we are here. So we need to have fun as well. It is very safe space where we are encouraging people to ask questions, to talk about mistakes as well, because we do learn very well from our mistakes. So why not sharing ones and learning from maybe others' mistakes? So it is very safe space where you can share your experience, your thoughts, questions, anything you would like. Today, we aim to achieve these learning outcomes. So as I said, we will unfortunately be aware of the practices and tips we need to deal with communication crisis, how to prevent it and how to solve it. We will be able to identify some triggers in situations like this, and we will learn how to understand crisis and how to make communication crisis strategy. This is our agenda for today. We'll have introduction, we will have some icebreakers after this, and then we will have something very interesting, that is case study review with our dear sharers, where we will have some scenarios and we will talk and we will discuss how to solve that. We'll have after that panel discussion, which is very, very interesting, and we will hear some particular advices and tips and tricks, and we will be able to discuss. After that, we will have a presentation from Wikimedia Foundation on some ways they deal with communication crisis and how we can imply that in our activities. And we will also have Q&A part where we will encourage all of you to ask questions and to learn and hear more about this topic. And after that, we will have a closure, and then we can go I would say home, but we're already, most of us are home, but we can turn off our laptops. If you have any questions, please do ask us. After this introduction, we will have icebreaker that Maciej will lead. But before we go into that part, I would like to tell you that we will have a Jamboard as well. That is one like some kind of platform or website where you can ask questions. You can type whatever you need. You can type it in the chat as well, and then we will put it in Jamboard. The Jamboard is like a space where we keep all of our questions. So please make sure to use it. We will also have some shared resources that we will share with you after the session, so you can always take a look at them as well. After, at the same end, we will have feedback that we hopefully will get a positive one from you. If not, please do tell us how we can improve. We always love to improve and to be better by each learning clinic. Thank you very much for listening to me. I will give my word to Maciej, and let's do that icebreaker so we can prepare for our learning clinic. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Let's do a very quick icebreaker so we all get to know each other a bit. I would like to ask you today, what is the one thing that distresses you? When you are stressed at work, when you are, when you feel like you are just full of it, what is this one thing that you can do that will make your whole day whole? You will feel very well for the end of the day. Please go to the Jamboard I've just shared. Leave one emoji of this one thing that will make you calm and will distress you. Introduce yourself a bit, write your name if you want to write your country. For me personally, I've put my own favorite emojis on top in the question. It's hot tea, it's going on a bike, it's eating a very good hamburger, and at the end, as you can see me right now, going to the beach. This really helps to distress people. I hope it helps you too. So feel free to share it here. And if you want to share it with the whole group, please raise your hand. We have a little time for 1 or 2 people to share with everybody. We already have chocolate and more chocolate from Natalia. There is also another person that likes to take a walk. I'd like to meet you. I also enjoy walking. Aqua gym in the sea, amazing. Cooking favorite meal, long baths, exercising or eating, dancing. Looks like today we have a group of mostly people that enjoy exercise and eating. You have to lose those calories that you get while eating. Amazing, more and more and more. There are people sharing on the chat that we all enjoy part. Not everybody enjoys the exercise, but that's also okay. Thank you all for sharing what distresses you. I hope that other people can take a short lesson and can implement it in their life if they haven't tried it already. And with that, we are 15 minutes past 5. I'm giving mic back to Gorana, and we will be slowly starting our main session.
Thank you very much, Maciej. And as Jessica said in the chat, as we may be talking about crises, managing stress is important. So it is always important to find something to distress ourselves. And I'm feeling very sorry that exercising is not my way of relaxing. I'm looking forward to getting to that point. But now we will divide this one big group into 2 groups where we will talk about some scenarios. So we will make breakout rooms. First one will lead Wikimedia Poland, and the second one will lead Wikimedia Italy. So just give us a minute to divide into breakout rooms. Thank you.
Yes, Ghana, and we will be sharing in the chat the 2 scenarios we'll be looking at. So the exercise in the breakout room is this main room will be a breakout room with the interpretation in French and Spanish. So please stay here in this room for that breakout room. And the second room will be without interpretation. And in that room, we'll be looking at scenario 2. The exercise in the breakout room will be to read the case. It's a hypothetical case, and then have some discussion around it. I will be here in this room with Maciej facilitating, and Gorana will be in the other room facilitating. So we will ask you to join the room. I'm going to open it now. Again, for those requiring translation, please stay in this room. You're also welcome to stay here if you're an English speaker. And those wanting to look at scenario 2, you can join that room now. It should come up on your screen. If you can't see it, then you also go to the More button on your computer or your phone, and you should be able to say join room. Okay, French speakers, Spanish speakers, English speakers who want to stay in the main room, you can stay here. And we'll just give people a few minutes to join.
Hi, I've been sent for a second to the breakout room, but I'm now back here with you.
Yeah, thank you. I think it automatically opened, so I'm just going to correct that and bring everybody back and just open it again. Thank you for your patience.
Okay.
Just takes a few seconds to close and bring everybody back. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. I configured something differently. So we're going to do that again, and you'll be able to choose the room you want to stay in. Hopefully this will work now. Again, people who require interpretation or want to stay in the first room with Wikimedia Poland, Wikimedia Italy, stay here, Wikimedia Poland, and those not requiring interpretation go into the room. And I will now open them.
Let's give everybody a couple more seconds.
Okay, so we can get started now. We will be looking at this scenario. I'm going to share it on my, Maciej is going to share it on the screen.
Yes, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you. For those of you that want to see the scenario in English, you have the slides from 2 to 5. I'll be showing them on my screen. And if you want to see the scenario in Spanish or French, this pages for Spanish are from 6 to 9 and French from 10 to 13. Please go lower on the slideshow. I will refrain from reading the scenario. I will let everybody read on their own time. I will move to the next slide in around a minute.
Yeah, so we'll have about 3 minutes of people just reading through the scenario. I also linked it in the chat. And then we'll start with the discussion.
Okay, now to the second slide of this scenario. If anybody wants to read longer, please go to the link sent by Jessica on the chat. Okay, going to the final slide. If you want to read longer, please visit the slide and the link from Jessica. Okay, thank you very much. We have now seen the entire scenario in front of us. Is there anybody here in the crowd that would like to summarize and share their first opinion on the scenario? Please raise your hand using the raise hand function or put something in the chat if you can find it. Okay, we have no volunteers, so I will let myself summarize a bit. What we see here is a made-up scenario that touches on something very common in Wikimedia space. As we know, a lot of people rely on Wikipedia for accurate information, for fast, accurate information. And while everybody is reading Wikipedia, and we assume good faith, some people are bringing bad faith and their own personal opinions into our articles. Sometimes a very small edit can very fast gain attention of the media and other outside stakeholders that can blame Wikipedia and our whole amazing community for actions of one person, sometimes a vandal without even a Wikipedia account. In our scenario, it's about some groundbreaking scientific discovery in the field of astrophysics, but most of you probably seen the types of edits in politicians' biographs or some event that is happening or some other very controversial political topic that in a few days can turn away the good faith for Wikipedia people have into bad faith. Is anybody here willing to comment on the situation? Maybe they have seen something similar in their life here, either as staff or as volunteers. René, would you like to share more on your than you shared on the chat?
Yes, Renee, you can speak in French and you will be able to hear you in English. And also, if you go to the slides, you can see the French version. It's further down. If you want to show Machi where the French version is, maybe on the screen. Okay.
Looks like Renee is still at work and cannot speak. Your written comments are still welcome on the chat if you'd like to share with us. If there are anybody else wishing to speak here, please go forward, and in a few minutes I'll send you a link to the Jamboard where we can work out a possible solution to our communication crisis.
Okay, and I think maybe there were a few people confused about the exercise, and the groups. I'll just repeat that we're just in a small exercise here to look at a case study, which is the one we shared on the slides, to have a small discussion of how we would handle this crisis and openly just share. And in this channel, we have the French and Spanish interpretation. and the other group is looking at another case, and then we'll come back together to share a bit. So I saw Abubakar's hand was raised, if you want to share something. Okay, thanks, Abubakar. Natalia, maybe I can ask you from Wikimedia Poland to share some of your thoughts around the.
You should be unmuted now, Natalia. Oh no, you still
Hello,
have to
can
click
you
the
hear me?
button.
Yes, and now? Okay. Well, the case seems familiar, I guess, not just for me, but we've all seen this. And I think that Wikimedia projects are just a very easy scapegoat. And I think it's about the fact that, you know, having this model based on equity has its price. There is a high probability of such situation happening. But I think we can use exactly the same model to either prevent a crisis or to manage the crisis. And we did encounter such situations, and our response was to organize an open debate and to invite everyone, also the ones that critique Wikimedia, also the ones who don't believe that we are a like legitimate knowledge sharing platform, and to give them voice and to have as many opinions as possible, because that's how we wanted to show that we are transparent and that we see the problem. And I think also the pace of reaction, how fast do we react, is super important, because we all know how media work. It's very easy to get entangled in this spiral of negative press and hate. So the sooner we react, the better the crisis prevention, in my opinion, especially in such a case.
Thank you very much, Natalia. We have a hand raised from Hussaini, please. If you'd like to share your comment now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, good afternoon from Nigeria. It is afternoon now. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you well.
All right, I'm sorry for joining the meeting late, and I find out that it's like you are discussing about one or two cases. I can see some of the information on the screen, but I don't know. So please, can you tell me a little bit about what has happened, so that if there is any contribution from my side, I can contribute.
Okay, I'm sending you once again a link to the slides. You can read the entire scenario and see what we are discussing. This is a completely made up scenario based on a
Okay.
hypothetical case that can happen in a Wikimedia movement.
Okay. So I should read this slide.
Meanwhile, we have a hand raised from Abukar. Please.
Je vais m'exprimer en français.
Okay. So to all my people that don't speak French here, please go to the English
Alors, vous
interpretation
m'entendez?
room, and you'll be able to speak here, Abukar.
Je vais être juste sûr que je ne parle pas dans le vide.
Yes, we can, Abubakar. Go ahead.
D'accord, merci. Donc, bonsoir à tous. Moi, je suis très content de participer à cette rencontre. Et du moment que Bill et moi-même, nous sommes des formateurs certifiés du programme éducation de Wikimedia Foundation, j'ai eu à faire une formation l'année passée pour les enseignants du secondaire. C'est des enseignants qui utilisent beaucoup Wikipédia et que d'autres étaient venus à la conférence. Ils étaient complètement contre Wikipédia dans les pratiques éducatives, qui se disaient qu'il y a des fausses informations, tout le monde peut le modifier. Donc, il y avait cette crise dans la tête des uns et des autres. Donc, le programme est tel qu'on a pu discuter des questions qu'ils avaient, des préoccupations qu'ils avaient et défendre notre côté, les contributeurs de Wikimedia et les informations que nous recevons des médias, de ce qui est publié dans la presse et comment nous les traitons pour le mettre sur Wikipédia et que nous ne sommes pas responsables des informations que nous mettons sur Wikipédia, mais qu'on se fie sur des preuves qui sont déjà là. Donc, moi, personnellement, je suis d'un pays de la République de Guinée où il y a eu une histoire controversée des années de l'indépendance. Donc, il y a des articles, par exemple, qui sont basés sur ces événements qui sont passés en ce temps-là. Donc, si d'autres nous disent, mais il y a des informations qui sont erronées là, ici, par là, comment il faut enlever ça? Je dis non, regardez la source, elle est là, c'est donné par Amnesty International. Si Amnesty International estime qu'il y a eu ceci et que c'est sur leur site web, donc moi personnellement en tant que contributeur, vrai ou faux, je ne peux pas retirer cette information-là. Mais que s'il y a un autre média qui dit autre chose, qu'on a la possibilité d'ajouter cette information et ajouter des sources. Donc, c'est des situations que nous rencontrons et souvent quand nous expliquons aux gens qui nous rencontrent et qu'ils comprennent, et parfois d'autres personnes banalisent Wikipédia et disent, mais bon, tout le monde peut le modifier, donc c'est du n'importe quoi, tout le monde peut écrire ce qu'il veut là-dessus. Après, je dis à la personne, il est intellectuel ou bien il est journaliste ou bien il est informaticien, je lui dis, mais du moment que tout le monde peut le modifier, est-ce que toi, personnellement, tu as fait une modification sur Wikipédia? Il dit non, mais si je veux tout à l'heure, je peux aller faire une modification. Je dis d'accord, alors vas-y, fais-le. Après, c'est des personnes qui sont tentées à aller faire des modifications pour attaquer certains articles, mais qui se rendent compte par après que c'est rétabli et qu'ils pensaient que Wikipédia est trop facile et que tout le monde peut le manipuler n'importe comment, mais qui se trouve que c'est fiable et que c'est sourcé avec des articles. Donc, c'est des crises comme ça que nous avons. Moi, personnellement, comme je suis connu être de Wikipédia, mon numéro est public, il y a des personnes qui m'appellent spécialement pour des discussions, mais bon, il y a ceci qu'on a trouvé sur tel article, comment on va faire, comment vous pouvez nous aider, ou il faut supprimer l'article qui me concerne. Voilà, c'est des situations comme ça que nous avons ici, mais nous essayons de gérer à notre manière et à les expliquer. Parfois, d'autres, ils comprennent. Et on a rencontré une situation récemment, il y a une dame qui était musicienne, qui est chanteur. Étant donné qu'elle est musulmane et elle a tendance à aller vers la fin de sa carrière, mais qu'elle ne veut plus que les articles la concernant dans la musique soient sur Wikipédia. Or, l'article, ce n'est même pas moi qui l'ai créé. Voilà, c'est des situations comme ça que nous rencontrons aussi. Voilà, que je voulais partager avec vous. Je vous remercie. Merci.
Okay, thank you very much, Abubakar, for this comment. We've talked about the way that this crisis can happen. Once again, thanks, Abubakar. My question to all of you here is, how would you approach it? We have people here that are in the affiliate that hire staff that is dedicated to dealing with this particular issue. But we have some affiliates that are only driven by volunteers. And all of the board members, all of the employees are doing this on their free time. Do your organizations have a plan on dealing with such issues? Do you know who to contact for help? Maybe a hub, maybe somebody with Wikimedia Foundation. How did you approach any problem like that in the past? Please share your experience. You don't have to name particular people or their names, but who helped you in the past with reacting to any sort of crisis or any sort of weird media inquiry? Islam, thank you for the comment in the chat. Would you like to share more?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just that it's sometimes, you know, in some of the more politically delicate, perhaps, maybe for lack of a better word, countries, people don't want to be particularly spotlighted or to be seen to be somebody who inspires people. And so therefore they don't want to necessarily be on Wikipedia, or they feel that it might be dangerous for them to be on Wikipedia. So in that case, I mean, I shared the example of some of the women who had been nominated by a general call by the Swedish embassy to nominate women who inspired them, who deserved like a Wikipedia article. And like at least 2 or 3 of those women said, please don't write one. Please don't, because it puts me in danger. So I think there's a lot, you know, it's not just about people either writing, you know, controversial stuff or writing controversial extreme views. It's also about people not wanting to be seen, you know, so that politically it makes it difficult for them. So yeah, I don't know. Though I just wanted to add, because I think that's what Abu Bakr was kind of like getting at as well, from what I understood. And in like, you know, in Africa, this is obviously an issue, but obviously in Russia, it's an issue. And in other places, it's also an issue. It's not just an African issue.
Okay, but let me ask a follow-up question here. Issues like that are happening, and how does your community deal with them? Is it via a discussion together on a village pump? Is it a decision of the administrator? Do you contact a local affiliate? Do you have a contact with the foundation that can help in an issue like that?
Well, for this issue, we were creating articles, so we just didn't create the article for the ladies that didn't want to be, because we just wanted to, we're all very aware in that situation. But I'm not sure, I mean, I know that there is like I know at the foundation there is an issue if you are feeling under threat that you can go to them. We did start that with a while back because of people who have been under threat for taking part in Wikipedia or being seen to be controversial or activistic from that side. But from the work that we do with Wiki in Africa, we try to make sure that people don't try to approach controversial issues. And if they do so with a huge amount of caution, and that, because, you know, people's personal safety is paramount for us. That's a given. You know, it's much easier to write about a controversial article about, say, some Zimbabwean from outside of Zimbabwe than it is to write inside. The same with Sudan or anywhere. So it's a very tricky space, you know. We don't have any answers for it, but I think the idea is just to try and navigate it in the context that it is. I don't think we can force it, you know, because that would be too arrogant and also potentially dangerous for people on the ground.
Okay, thank you. That's all from me. Jessica?
Yeah, I would like to invite anybody to share maybe how you have handled a communication crisis. It can be something similar to the one we've seen, or something that's happened in your group that's become controversial or difficult publicly. How have you managed that? What are some of the strategies you use? I see several participants here Susanna from Avon, Glam. Abubakar, did you want to share again? I see your hand is raised.
D'accord, merci. D'accord, je vais parler un peu plus lentement. Et on a eu un cas pareil ici parce que souvent nous travaillons sur des personnalités politiques. Pourquoi les personnalités politiques? Nos personnalités politiques ne sont pas beaucoup vues sur les plateformes de Wikipédia, des hommes qui ont participé à des élections, des anciens ministres et tout ce qui s'ensuit. Donc, ceux qui sont de l'ancien régime qui sont contestés, il est très compliqué de créer des articles sur eux. Donc, on a créé un article qui est controversé et quand on a été un peu inquiet, moi, je connais personnellement quelqu'un de, je ne sais pas comment on l'appelle, si c'est Trusty Center. Donc, je connais quelqu'un qui est de l'équipe là. J'ai écrit un message, je ne l'ai pas envoyé, mais je l'ai gardé dans le message à envoyer. Donc, c'était juste au cas où si on se comprenait et que ça se compliquait. Et souvent, si on a des cas de crise comme ça, on alerte le groupe. Du moment qu'on n'est pas tous de la capitale, d'autres sont à l'intérieur du pays, on informe il y a une situation telle, et qu'on nous sollicite. En cas de problème, il faut savoir qu'on était là. Voilà, c'est des situations, c'est comme ça on gère pour le moment. Mais on n'a jamais remonté un cas d'abord à la fondation pour nous aider à gérer les choses. Nous arrivons à gérer nous-mêmes pour le moment.
Thanks, Abubakar. Anybody else want to share before I close the room? See Sherry's online, Leonardi. Any crisis that you've faced and can give tips on?
Just a 2 cents to throw in that it's very important to know the full details of the crisis on 365 degrees. So your perspective, what you're trying to get, the way you'd like to see it resolved at the end of the day, as well as the perspectives of those on the other end of it as well. So, and to know that these things do happen and it's not the end of the world. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I speaking out of turn? I'm sorry.
No, not at all. I think there's just another mic open.
Okay.
Just managing that. Yeah, go ahead, Sherry. Sorry about that.
Yes, my 2 cents is that it's important to try and take in the full situation and not rush into it, but to really understand what you're heading into as well. I'll stop there.
Super, thanks, Sherry. I think that's such an important piece of advice, very wise. Okay, I will be closing the rooms now. People will come back. We just wanted to get people warmed up. We usually start a session by listening a lot and then sharing. And sometimes it's nice just to hear what people are thinking before we come to share some advice based on experiences. So thanks for being open to doing it this way. And we'll now just wait for everybody to join and we'll go on to our panel discussion where Wikimedia Poland and Wikimedia Italy and the communications team from the foundation will tell us a bit about their lived experience and some of their advice. Okay, I think we're back with everybody and over to you, Garana.
Thank you very much, Jessica. So we had a really interesting discussion in breakout room number 2 about transparency, stakeholders, and timelines that we need to have when we have communication crisis. So I would like to thank everyone for participating in discussion. and for giving us your amazing points of view and solutions and experiences. It was very interesting and useful, I think, for all of us to hear. Paolo, would you like to add something? Okay, maybe there are some technical issues, but we can go to next part of our learning clinic today. So the next thing on our agenda today is shares panel discussion. So as we said, today we have okay, we will try to fix that, Paula. So as I said, we have Wikimedia Poland, Wikimedia Italy and Wikimedia Foundation today, and we will hear their experiences. I would like to ask all of you to write your thoughts, to write your questions in the chat or in the Jamboard for our sharers, so we could be able to answer to those and to maybe lead the discussion in that direction. So I would like to welcome one more time Jolanta, Natalia from Wikimedia Poland, Paolo Vidu and from Wikimedia Foundation, and Paolo is from Wikimedia Italy. We can start with our questions. Maciej, would you like to start?
Yes, sure. I've put a link to the Jamboard for everybody in the chat. So feel free to ask your own questions to our speakers. But now we'll start with our first question that I'm posting in the chat. How do you think the experience shared in the breakout room that you were right now can benefit the Wikimedia movement in the crisis prevention and its management? Jolanta. Jolanta, you are muted.
Okay. First, we should think that what I see in our breakout room, it was that our communication crisis can be completely different than communication crises in other chapters or user groups. Probably what we should sometimes deal with or face adversities that is completely different in other countries, especially in Africa or India, when where the Wikipedia is more new project, or sometimes depends on the political situation. In Poland, we have quite stable situation in Poland, so we can use Wikipedia freely and we can edit. Of course, we still take care about anonymous of our volunteers and contributors, and every meeting is started with safe space regulations. So we really care about it, but I see that our crises are on different level. So this is the main difference I've heard in our breakout room. And but what I think about all kind of crises is the first one is always be fast. It doesn't mean not we should think about the method or the way how we communicate, but it should be fast and always transparent. And of course, we should create different, sometimes different or communicates external and internal, because what we know from our experience in Wikimedia Poland, our community needs a little different information than our external audience. And I am a person who is always audience focused. So I always think what the audience needs now, not what we want to communicate only, but what the audience needs to understand. So I think this is the most important thing that Natalia spoke it also. And of course, when we think about communication crisis, like was mentioned, I don't remember from one of you from Zimbabwe, but for example, the people that don't want to be in Wikipedia because it's dangerous for them, and we should always take care about safety of the people. Not only volunteers, but also about the people who can be endangered by being in Wikipedia. So I think this is the most important topics I saw, and I bring out from our breakout.
Okay, thank you, Jolanta. Vidu, Paolo, would you like to share a short comment on that from your side? I'd like to ask you please to keep your answers short, as we have many speakers and quite a few questions. So Vidu, I'm unmuting you now.
Thank you, Maji. I had an interesting discussion, but I think the anchor point for a lot of things that we discussed was around transparency and the need to be transparent, understanding our audiences, as well as having a process flow. I think lay down a process for us, which is really helpful. Jolanta also just covered it. I think each audience, as well as each situation, is different based on regions, their awareness of our projects, their awareness of how our model works, etc., is so different that requires a little bit of a tailored approach. However, crisis makes us work very quickly on things. So a lot of times a knee-jerk reaction is not the best reaction. And sometimes even taking a moment to stop, analyze what this could mean in terms of this process before it snowballs is really important as well. So I guess timely approach, having a process which is already laid out for us, be it even smaller, a check-in list, which is literally about 5 points of who needs to be, reached out to in case there's a crisis that is buzzing, what kind of audience requires what kind of messaging, and what are the next steps. If that can follow, that's, I think, the first step that we can look at. Paolo,
would you like to share something and connect that with your experience?
Yes, well, I think to me, it was really interesting to listen also other people proposing the idea of transparency, also meaning transparency as a practice. So it's not something that you work on just when you need, but you always have to keep in your mind. We have to be accountable for what we do. And I think it can help. And also, yes, be prepared with the timeline and with the messages that could be useful to tone down the criticism would be really useful, and it has been really useful to us. And also connecting with our communities, so the members of the chapter, the volunteers of Wikipedia, and keep them informed, and also work with them on the management of this crisis. I mean, most of the time it means we have to keep them like not relaxed, but just help them not to stress and just to wait for the worst to go by.
Thank you very much, Paula. As I already said, we had a really interesting discussion on a scenario that we made up. But now let's talk a little bit about our own experiences that most of us actually had in some kind of crisis. So maybe we can start with what is something that you would like to connect from the case we had and the important things we talked about, like some kind of tips and tricks that you would like to share, but to connect with your experience as well. How did you deal with that? What was your what was the thing that helped you? What tips and tricks would you give? Maybe we can start with Vidu.
Thanks, Karana. At the foundation, I think we see a lot of prominent crises that actually take place, but also at the same time, things that we prepare for, which hopefully never happen. So don't want to go there and jinx myself, but just coming back to Wikipedia in general and the things that happen more often and probably fairly basic, which probably a lot of our communities deal with, are things like misinformation or vandalism, for instance. And many times, these are real instances that actually take place. We were talking about transparency, faith, but also honesty. The beauty of our projects is that everything is available in the public domain. Anyone can go through edit pages, etc. There is a lack of understanding of even these processes. What has helped us immensely is to just relay these messages back in the media again and again in different regions, in different languages, for people to understand why this model stands out. And for us to be transparent that, yes, for instance, a vandalism case actually did occur, but our global volunteers actually resolved that within these many minutes. Or if it's a hoax that stayed on for a really long time, to actually own up to it and say, yes, it existed, but it is there on the top pages. It is there, it is recorded within the history of our pages itself. And that kind of level of transparency, people with good faith will always appreciate and kind of strive in joining us to make it better. So that's one of the instances that definitely all of us, my colleague Barbara is also here now, we face pretty often. Sometimes it goes to the press, sometimes it doesn't. But those are the kind of things that have always stayed up. And there are nuances to it. Like, for instance, sometimes something that happened on English Wikipedia, which actually got removed, stayed in another language, Wikipedia. Those kind of, and going back to my earlier point, for us to just wait, review our things, make sure that we've actually corrected it before we go to the media and try to give out statements that might not hold true or we need to retract from later on.
Thank you very much, Vidu. Jolanta, would you like to share some of Wikimedia Poland's experience and how did you handle it?
Okay, I've been working in Wikimedia Poland only 6 months, and fortunately we have only 2 or 3 some crisis situations. The first one was on my first day in my work. So I start, with a huge splash. And it was a TikTok movie, which was a prank. Somebody came in our online meeting and did some prank stuff, I say. It wasn't nice for the participants, our employees and volunteers. One of them was a minor, minus 15 years, she years old. So practically a child, and the prankster started like normal people, but during the meeting did something very strange in being insult. It was very not very nice, and our staff maybe didn't react so quick as possible, but it becomes kind of viral on TikTok first, and then on YouTube, and on in YouTube Shorts especially. And we started with a short message to the participants of this meeting that we are taking care, and our piece of advice was that we recommend not to click, not to share this video, as you know how strange it was, and we recommend not to click but to report to YouTube and to TikTok that this movie violate terms and conditions of YouTube and TikTok, and we wrote to legal department of Wikimedia Foundation, Natalia, probably, just for sure. But our reports helped to us, and the movie was restricted. The video was restricted on YouTube and on TikTok, and didn't become viral as it could be. So it was the first, yeah, it was the first day of my work in Wikimedia Poland.
It was very dynamic first day.
Yeah, very dynamic. Yeah, nobody predicted this. Yeah, it was our it wasn't a crisis external as we thought it could be, but it was a crisis for our employees and volunteers. And I hope that we ensured our people that we are taking care about the case, and we advised them how to respond and how to react and to work. And yeah, this is one of our crises. It was the first one.
Thank you very much, Jolanta. It's very interesting to hear. And that was your first day. But you have, I mean, we have Natalia from Wikimedia Poland, which is ED of Wikimedia Poland. So I'm sure she encountered some of the crises as well. So I would like to hear her point of view here and the tips that she would like to share, maybe.
Okay, so there's one important thing that I would like to tell you, because just 3 weeks ago during our annual conference, I had an amazing discussion with our community about communication crises as such. Because when there is a crisis and we have a spokesperson like Jolanta, we tend to focus on the external audience. We want to convince the outside public, the experts, the media, that Wikipedia or Wikimedia is a reliable source of information. We give arguments, but the community made me realize that we really forget about the power of volunteers. Because I was convinced that there are some crises that are lost wars, like if we have an onslaught of several media stating that Wikipedia is not a reliable source of information, there's very little we can do when there are so many negative opinions. And the community said there's always something to do. First of all, we all care about it, because every negative PR about Wikipedia hurts our identity. So we want to do something. We don't want to be inactive. Even if our actions don't work, we want to have the satisfaction that we did something. So, for example, if you guys, I mean, by you, they mean the chapter, tell us, hey, there is an article on the internet that says negative things about Wikipedia. Go there to the comment section, as many of you as possible and write your arguments against that. That would already make us feel empowered. We would have a say, and we would join the battle, right? We would join forces with you. So that's something I did not think about before, that it's important to give people hope and some tools to join the debate. And maybe a good thing is that they also can do it anonymously, which, you know, people in the comment section don't care about their names and surnames. So that's something I've learned from the discussion, to always consult the community, because they may know the solutions that we have not thought about. And we are super lucky as a chapter to have Jolanta, who is very experienced, over 20 years of experience of crisis management. And I know that not every chapter can have such a support. But as Jolanta said, we did receive a lot of support from the foundation. And it was not only formal, like people there from legal department, from other affiliates, they literally engaged in reporting the abuse on the internet. So it was a very natural grassroots solidarity that I saw, and we really should and can use this as our strength.
Yeah, we should use our community of volunteers and of employees as a support in this kind of situation. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's very good to hear some real life experience and what to do. Paolo, do you have some quick tip and trick maybe before we go to next question?
Yes, just really quickly, I would say that we talked about accountability, and we also say we have to share all the documents. We have to show how we, for example, in our case, when we talk about funds, we have to show how we use that. So we did that. We started working on reports 2 years ago. It was both a necessity for low terms, but also because we wanted to be accountable as much as possible. And I think so we try to make it the most clear as possible on our website and on our media. And I think that that's something everybody can do, just to be, as I already said, we have to be transparent all the time, not just when it is needed. And I suggest that everybody should work on that.
Thank you very much, Paolo. So we can go to, we can talk a little bit about advices now. So can you give us all some advices on the things that you have learned in dealing with your crisis, and what is the best thing to do to connect with your experience? And we need to be short, unfortunately, because we don't have much time ahead of us for this discussion, but luckily we will have time in the Q&A part of the session. So can you just give us short advice for all of us? Maybe we can start with Vidu.
Thanks, Goran. I'm going to keep it very short, and Natalia kind of spoke to it. The kind of advice and strength that our community brings is massive. And at the foundation as well, we keep going back to the kind of advice and in like the knowledge base that the community members in itself have for us to resolve crisis situations ourselves. It is so many times that we could probably think from a more professional or a communication standpoint, but to build back the basics, I think we need to go back to the communities and understand where there is a historical context. I said this before, I think we need to keep on going back to the root cause before we start building the solutions for the future. And that is something that we keep on reminding ourselves. Another very strong tool that works out is having some third-party people who can represent us, who can speak about us because they're close to the communities, they're close to the movement or the foundation, but gives their own perspective on things. And it can be balanced. It could be a little bit negative. However, it goes back to the truth. And at the foundation, we definitely believe, I think the truth is important, whether it is owning up to some issues that we faced or actually working towards improvement. So the kind of messaging that we have, sometimes it's always, sometimes it's better rather than us owning our own narrative, we let or advise other people to own that narrative that becomes even stronger when it's a crisis situation.
Thank you very much, Vidu. I would like to ask Natalia from Wikimedia Poland now, before you got the person for communication crisis, someone as Jolanta that is doing her great job, how did you manage that? Please keep time in mind, but how did you manage to deal with crisis with staff members that has nothing to do with communication or PR part of the work?
Well, actually, I'm not sure because we didn't have many crises before. Jolanta joined also because I joined in November last year, but we have a member of the board, volunteer board, who has some experience in communication with media, and she said she could be a spokesperson in such situations. And we have a tool called volunteers skills dashboard. We collect information about all the skills of our volunteers that they want to share with us. And when we find someone who is experienced in communication, who is close to the media, perhaps has some journalist experience, we ask if they can help. So we just try to use the resources that we have. But also what helped us in some of the crises was contacting experts, renowned experts who are in favor of Wikipedia. We were lucky to find one recently who is a famous educator and influencer. And he said, yes, I use Wikipedia as a tool. And I recommend it, so it's not a problem for me to say publicly why do I think this is a good thing for people. So we try to find, and if Jolanta is very active in that field, we try to find influencers, people that are now in the internet or in media, and reach them and try to cooperate with them somehow. And one of them recently agreed to support us for free, simply because this is in line with her values. But this is Jolanta's charm that makes such people cooperate.
But that is also a very good point to mention volunteers being involved and knowledge being shared, as we do here in Let's Connect as well. Paolo, would you like to share some advices of your own, and how do you deal with crisis?
For us, it has been really useful also to use the crisis we talked about trust, and trust from outside the movement or the organization, and trust from the inside. And I think we use the crisis to reconnect with some of the Wikipedia volunteers, and just to try to understand with them how to figure it out, how to prepare the right messages to use with media in case of necessity. And also I think, yes, it was really useful to share information and to try to resolve the problem together. And I would suggest everybody to do that. And also, I think there is, for example, sometimes when volunteers are really into the project, they could become quite angry about, I don't know, bad journalism about the project and so on. And I think we also, as professionals, as people who work in communication, we have also to help them to understand the situation and just to keep calm. And so, for example, sometimes we have spokesperson who are volunteers, but in some, I think we also have to assess them in this kind of situation and to understand, okay, they can also be a spokesperson in a crisis situation or not, and you learn by doing what is useful and who is the best person in the situation.
Okay, thank you very much, Paulo, for that. With that, we finished the panel portion of our learning clinic. We will have a bit of time for the Q&A from the audience at the end. But now I would like to give the mic to Barbara and Vidu from Wikimedia Foundation. They will have a presentation on practical tips to manage a communication crisis in the Wikimedia movement. Vidu, the mic is yours.
Thank you. I'd like to call upon Barbara.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet everyone. It was amazing listening in and listening to everyone's experience when dealing with crisis comms. I'm introducing myself as a comms specialist at the Wikimedia Foundation, and Vidu as a lead comms specialist. We both work in the external comms team when it comes to any public comms and especially media relations and crisis comms, of course. So next slide, please. So what is a crisis, especially when it comes to the Wikimedia Foundation and the Wikimedia movement? Oh yeah, thank you, Jessica. A crisis, when related to the Wikimedia movement, and is any sudden event that could have a negative impact, whether it's in the short or long term, to the reputation and mission of Wikipedia and other Wikimedia Foundation projects, as well as the people behind them. Next slide, please. And types of crises are varied and can come in different scales as well. So for example, we have mis and disinformation. This happens when there's accusations or occurrences of Wikipedia having the wrong information, biases such as gender or inaccuracies. Then we also have community behavior. This can include vandalism, manipulation of information, paid editing, hoaxes, and the conduct of community members that might be doxed or targeted publicly. And third, we have operations and funding, which is similar to the scenario we went over earlier. These can be allegations or negative reactions to how Wikipedia works or is funded. And then finally, we have shutdown, which is when Wikipedia is being blocked or has gone offline in a certain region. The most famous one that we know of is what happened in Turkey, and as well as Russia also tried to shut down Wikipedia. All right, next slide, please. And then finally, we have crisis management process, which is when I'm going to be passing it to Vidu to take us through how we handle crisis comms.
Thanks, Barbara. I think we've just taken some basic instances of what usually crises mean for us, but of course it's not limited to that. We've tried to create a few basic slides just to cover the main processes that we need to follow, but of course each crisis begins with its own nuances that we need to take care of, especially based on the regions that it's coming from. In terms of preparation, we feel that it is important to establish a crisis comms team. I think we've been discussing that quite a bit over here. It depends in terms of the kind of crisis that it is, that who are the core people that need to be involved. So to every affiliate, we would suggest to have at least a core team, which is the first line of contact that definitely needs to be involved the moment a crisis takes place. We would also suggest in times of crisis, if someone could get in touch with the press team itself so that we can help, we can support. If you require any further support from different departments within the foundation, such as legal or trust and safety team, we'd be happy to connect and become and create like a coordination group within the foundation and closely with the affiliates in question. Next slide, please. The phase one, again, is alert. This could be before the crisis actually happens. You're all very well connected within the community, also connected with members of press or on social media as well. even if it is a small alert, I think it's great to raise that with the right people, at least the first line of contacts within the affiliate groups. And then if needed, bring this forth to us so that we can also help support with our own media agencies to keep track of if this crisis is building up. We can do that with the pre-arranged email addresses. There are a number of teams within the foundation that can help support this, but at least have an open line of communication so that any alert at any point of time can be picked up. Within the foundation, we also have almost 24-hour coverage between, for example, Barbara is based in the US, I'm based in India. There are other folks within the team who cover different time zones. So we try to manage this and make sure that there's someone always available to respond to you, especially in dire needs. Of course, this also depends on the number, the kind of severity that the crisis will have. If at all there is a crisis where we don't know whether this goes to a severe level, it's still better to give a heads up to your colleagues and make sure that there's someone who's kind of just brainstorming with you and making sure that we're alerted. Next slide, please. Phase 2 is assess. Like I was saying, I think there are some important questions that we need to ask ourselves. Even better if we can start building even a rough draft of a document that lists out, these are some of the questions that we've already said. What has happened? Where has it happened? When did it start? Who is it impacting and to what level? Who is involved? Who are the main stakeholders of this development? Where are those gaps that we need to figure out before we respond and while the situation is developing further? Who reported this instance to us? Is that source valid? Is that checked out? Do we know for sure that this incident has happened or not? Are these trusted sources, for instance? What is the impact at the moment? How is it that it can snowball further? What is the kind of likelihood and impact that it can create on a longer term basis for us in terms of the reputation? Is there any immediate danger? This also brings a special note of just the trust and safety element of different crises. There are volunteers and staff members on ground in almost all regions. It is especially severe in case this happens in region where there a strong community which is at risk, be it in Europe, be it in parts of South Asia. It's always important for us to keep our communities as well as the staff members on ground to keep in mind while we're developing our communications. Again, do we understand the situation in entirety? Like I said, it's very important for us to keep building this out rather than having a knee-jerk reaction to a crisis. It's always better to stay calm and kind of think forward with all the nuances as well as repercussions that's possible. In case of crisis, I think we anticipate that the media might be aware, but there are times that the media is not aware. We should avoid a situation where we release information that actually builds out a cycle in itself. There are channels within the movement that can be used. We have good faith again with community members that we can ask them for a little bit of, handling sensitive information in that manner. And that is very, those measures are really important for us to maintain when we're dealing with crisis. Next slide, please. Plan and prepare. Like I said, start slow, but start preparing, especially an FAQ document that can help us prepare, key statements that we can give out. That will help us prepare in case we need spokesperson for media interactions. Usually what we've seen in between when a crisis takes place until the time that we know a whole situation develop, oftentimes there are already media statements that come out. They might be incorrect. We might need to have corrections done. But in the meantime, if we can create a shorter holding statement that just says simple things like, we're looking into the situation. We can always bank on different time zones when it comes to, different affiliates relying back on the foundation's legal team, for instance. To have a smaller statement ready for the media to just tell them that, yes, we are aware of this before they start reaching out to you in all different ways and forms. It's good to just send out one small statement without giving too much information till the time that we have full information about the scenario that is developing. Key spokespeople is definitely important. We have a tendency to go out and respond to everything that we know, but there should be designated people within communities if you need spokesperson help from the foundation to actually identify and brief them properly before they're led to speak to any kind of media or any external audience for that matter. Going back, I think it's important for us to have roles and responsibilities also set up. Make sure that each there are we know who's the point of contact for different kind of roles and responsibilities at that time, and that we stick to it while we're all there trying to save ourselves from a crisis situation. It's always better that we know who's the last person to get in touch with. And I think there are enough reviews that happen here, but make sure that their process is clear. Make sure that there's this last person who reviews and closes all comments. I think that's really important for us to make sure that there are no corrections needed at the last moment. And of course, gather all the right sign-offs required. Next stage. This is implementation. I think I want to go back to the planning and the planning stage. I think before we implement, please make sure 100% that our plan is intact. While it is going to be dynamic in case of a crisis, but at least we need to make sure that all the sign-offs are there. Vet each and every press query before you respond to them, whether it's a good faith actor or a bad faith actor. Make sure that we choose the right of who we're speaking with. There's some folks, like someone else mentioned before, there's some folks within the media that we do not feel will even respond or cover the story in a fair manner, in a neutral manner, even if we try to give them our viewpoint. Reach out to some of our friendly journalists, some external parties that are important, who understand us, who understand our movement as well as our model, to make sure that they're aware in case it's required. They if not become spokespeople, but they can be really helpful for us to actually just curtail down the grapevine or a little bit of a gossip that tends to happen or occur during crisis situation. Again, the community is the most important. At the same time, I think one of the most important things that we keep in our minds before we're responding to any kind of crisis is the safety and the trust factor for our communities. Before we release any press reactions, we make sure that the community is in the loop. They all know what our response is going to be. And that has gone a long way for us to build that trust and transparency with our primary stakeholders. And if there's anyone before the community, I think it will be the people behind any crisis, the ones who are actually affected. There should be a separate line of communications with the people who are actually affected by a crisis. And of course, Wikimedia staff and stakeholders were always there just to have that line of communication set up with us. Next slide, please. Evaluate. This is the step that follows after we've had our first responses out. We've seen a couple of days of news cycles coming in. We know how the situation has developed internally and both externally. That is the place where we need to monitor and understand whether it needs more of proactive pitching, whether it needs more of interactions with the media. Do we want to lay low a little bit for the news cycle to die down? In a lot of cases, it's just a reaction. It's a very quick reaction or a backlash. For example, on social media, in a lot of cases, we've had instances where we've been called biased. We've had instances where we've been called anti-nationalist for where I come from. All of those things sometimes actually die down themselves. And perhaps if we respond to it, it might actually create a longer snowballing effect, which we don't want. So this evaluation phase is also very important, and keep sure that there is some kind of a meeting or follow-ups that keep on happening with the members and the stakeholders within communities as well as the staff members for us to keep on noticing how the situation is developing. And of course, keep on evaluating the process so that we can learn from our own recommendations and highs and lows in the process. Next slide, please. These are some of the general guidelines. I think I need to note that press interactions are not always the best answer, but this is in case we need press interactions, which can have rapid effect. Any story that comes in a media, especially in online and social scenarios at this point, has a ripple effect that continues to stay on the internet for the longest. So these are some of the general guidelines that we've put forth for you. One, pay attention to the question. Sometimes there are tricky questions or nuances hidden between friendly journalists' questions. Just ensure that we answer exactly to what the question was. And in case it requires further explanation, define why we're explaining this and then proceed further. While there are opportunities for us to say, oh no, this is on background, which means that a journalist can actually use the information in their reporting, but just not attribute it to us. And there are options of saying, we want this to be off the record. We've had instances with the best of the journalists when off-record information and on-background information is also put in articles. So keep a caveat in mind that you could be always on record the moment you're talking to any external party, especially when it's crisis, especially when it's the quick news cycle. Be credible, be honest, be transparent, own up to things, give your point of view. If I think we can dabble between when you're giving our own point of view on versus when you're responding on behalf of an affiliate group, a group of people, or the foundation. It is very important for us to remain credible at all times. It's all right for us to say we don't know. We can offer to come back on situations, but also in times for us to say, this is something that we will not be able to respond to. There could be legal implications. There could be sensitive issues, trust and safety issues. And it's all right for us to say no to a journalist at the end of it. And of course, avoid gossip as much as we can. Unfortunately, journalists and the grapevine loves it. That's the best. That's all from us. If I'll send it back to y'all.
Okay, thank you very much to our lovely sharers. With that, we are moving to the last part of our today's session. We have a bit of time for questions from the audience to our sharers from Wikimedia Foundation and to the staff from Wikimedia Poland, Wikimedia Italy. If there's any question that you'd like to ask them, please feel free to write it in the chat or raise your hand here and we will unmute you and you can ask your question yourself.
So we had one question that is related to like a real life scenario. And that is, how did TikTok react to this case? And what was the delay in processing your request? I guess this is related to Wikimedia Poland's case. So can you please answer to this? And I would like also to ask our sharers if they would like to add something to conclude this story, or if we have missed out something, to just also open your mics and enlighten us.
Okay, the TikTok story. The TikTok reacted, I think, in 2 days maximum. I got the answer that the video was restricted, and I think it was very helpful. There are many people from all over the world report this movie. So it's easier. From YouTube, it was a little bit longer, but we report that on this video you can find inappropriate behavior, and the child on this video wasn't prepared for this kind of performance. So I think that the child mentioned in this situation, because some behavior of this man was about some sex stuff, was the trigger that YouTube and TikTok reacted quickly, I think. Of course, the video before reporting had about 4,000 views, maybe a little bit more. But when the video is restricted, it's not going viral. So I think this was the most important thing, and for us it was crucial that that our volunteers were on this video, and one of the volunteers was a child. Yeah. I don't remember the second part of the question. Yeah, but I think it's enough.
Oh, I'm still muted. Thank you very much, Jolanta. It's interesting to hear social media case as well when it blows up and becomes viral. We had also a question. Who, just a second, who might make up the crisis management team? I'd like to come back to this question. So do you have any advices on who to put in crisis management team, especially when affiliate is maybe a little bit smaller or they do not have like a practical experience in this field? Would someone like to answer to this one?
Yeah, probably if you have a social media specialist, it is the first choice to ask him or her to the team. And I think some kind of there are people who are acting fast, and they need time to act, and people who can think very realistic is needed. Yeah, so people who has some skills, person who has some skills, like knowing maybe some legal stuff, maybe some journalism and social media experience, or some, I don't know how to say, and maybe Natalia will end because he has a hand up. She has a hand up.
Well, I would say that definitely this person should be calm and not panic in a crisis situation. When this TikTok thing happened, we were all panicking, and Jolanta came and she said, "Calm down. I know what to do. First of all, think rationally. Do not act on your emotions, because that's the worst. But if you don't have a team, if you don't have a person that is experienced, we are a global movement. Contact the chapters, contact user groups that do have experienced people, and just learn from them. We are super open to knowledge sharing as a community. So if anyone contacted us, if anyone would contact us and ask for advice, or even like a training or mentoring, shadowing, anything, we would definitely like to share. And this learning clinic is just a part of that openness.
Yeah.
So use the resources that you have, if not locally, then internationally, because there are millions of us, right? So there must be someone who can help.
There must be someone who knows. Thank you very, very much, Natalia. Barbara, please.
Yeah, and I kind of related to what Natalia was going to say. I feel like as a community, we're always here to help each other, especially the foundation is always here, as Fadu shared in the chat. If there's any other doubts or any support needed, please feel free to reach out to press. We also have another email called Talk to Comms. Maybe some of you know of it and have reached out to it before. which is just a way to access the comms team in general, and then we can triage and find the best person to help and support you. And then on top of that, I also recommend automation. We use a few different programs. One of them is Cision, another one is Muckbrack, and those help a lot when it comes to tracking what's happening in the media when relating to the foundation or certain chapters, certain regions. And that helps a lot when it comes to catching conversations that might lead to crisis comms right from the beginning, as sometimes communication or like certain crisis comm are slowly happening in these like chat areas or in one or two articles. And once you can, yes, I'll link those to you, Camelia. And once you start reading and catching up on those, you start to realize, oh, this might be an issue. So that's another recommendation I have. And as well as like, truthfully, I don't think anyone's born with these like communication abilities. I think it's something that you develop throughout your time working in these situations. So as Vidhu mentioned in the beginning, it's all about kind of being precise, objective, and agile in how you make your decisions and how you communicate. So yeah, if you can find someone in your team that you believe has those qualities and have them work on those, then that's perfect. Yeah, I'll include those links to the two programs we use as well right now.
Yes, thank you. Please include them in the Jamboard. We'll make sure to share it with everybody that attended the clinic. It will be available for everybody to use once we publish it.
Thank you very much for the answers. While we were having a panel discussion, we had some raised hands. So now I would like to invite Musa to open his mic and to share his experience. Musa, if you would like to share your experience still, or if anyone would like to share something, ask something, please open your mics or raise your hands or write in the chat. So, because we still have a little bit more time to talk about communication crisis, maybe you would like to share your experience.
Hello, Girona. My name is Uncle Bash from Hausa Wikimedia User Group. Actually, I want to like tip into some idea regarding communication crisis. I think at local level, there is supposed to be steps taken in countering such communication crisis right from the local level before it reaches viral or other media outlets. Like for instance, I think every community or user group, most especially regional communities, there should be like a mini community, like someone that can be referred to whenever there is a crisis in that community before. And I mean people who have experience, like who have knowledge on how to like tackle crisis right from the local stage before it reaches out. And those people, if for instance they cannot tackle that crisis, they can actually refer to the press or to the Wikimedia press for more help and rest. I think it would be very helpful and the like. But that's what I want to add in short. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Musa.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, we can hear you.
Thank you for this wonderful session and
We can hear you.
opportunity.
We can hear you.
Thank you, thank you. It's a great having this a wonderful session. We all learn a lot, and from the experience and what my colleague shared, I would like to like contribute based on an experience. There is this community member that once complained to me that during his presentation, his postgraduate presentation, he did make most of his research on Wikipedia and he made references. All the citations, all the references were on Wikipedia. So when he presented his paper, his lecturer were like, the paper is very good, the materials are good, but he cannot be able to accept the materials there because to him, Wikipedia is not acceptable because the basics he made then was like it's a platform where everybody can edit, so we cannot be able to accept it as a reference academically. So she was complaining bitterly then when we have a session like in our local level that she felt humiliated and embarrassed doing that her presentation because the lecturer has to cancel the entire work of the presentation. So then when she complained to me, I was like, I don't really know where to go forward because we don't have, as what Uncle Bash just said, we don't have like an expert in the community or like a mini group or a mini team that handles such cases. We don't really have such. So it's like a no-go area. We were all muted in the session because we couldn't know what to tell her. Then the suggestion we only give to her then is like maybe while there were links of journals and websites and books that are generally accepted in the whole world. Maybe what we should do then, what we advise her to do then is maybe she should make references whenever she fish out the information she wanted. She should make references using those websites and journals. And we couldn't know way forward or what we should tell her actually then. So, but I think what Uncle Bash suggested, we should like have an expert that will be dealing with such crises, such situations. I think this is what I thank you.
Thank you very much, Musa. Rana.
Ok, bonsoir tout le monde. Merci pour la parole. Ah, tiens, je pense que je peux parler en français ou je devrais me déplacer dans la classe principale.
Yes. Go ahead.
Ah, d'accord, merci. Alors, cette thématique, elle est la bienvenue parce que les crises, ça se vit à travers le monde, ça se vit en famille et Wikimedia ne pourrait pas en être exclu, quoi. Donc, traiter de cette thématique est assez importante. Donc, moi, j'irais par une anecdote qui demanderait à ce que la vie en famille, la vie en couple, en fait, c'est deux personnes qui se mettent ensemble et qui décident de mener une vie commune. Donc, c'est ces personnes-là qui pourraient mettre de côté l'ego, savoir ce qui ne pourrait pas aller ou bien ce qui pourrait fâcher l'un à l'autre et afin de vivre ensemble le plus longtemps possible. Donc, c'est réellement une thématique de vivre ensemble. On n'a pas forcément besoin de personnes ressources pour gérer des crises qui sont des crises très souvent locales. La gestion par des personnes ressources doit être la chose la plus extrême pour arriver à des solutions, quoi. Donc, je pense que si les égos peuvent être mis de côté, les crises n'auront déjà pas lieu. Et également, si les égos sont mis de côté, les crises seront davantage mieux gérées. Donc, je préférerais qu'on aille plus vers des solutions. L'approche avec la presse, c'est une solution, mais je ne trouve pas que ce soit la solution parce que déjà même ici, il y a des personnes qui ont des problèmes, mais n'arrivent pas à en parler. Donc, c'est assez délicat de traiter ces crises-là par ces moyens, mais je trouve qu'il pourrait peut-être avoir des solutions plus souples. Nous avons vécu, par exemple, des crises où les comités régionaux ont pu intervenir pour des questions, des problèmes liés à X ou Y cas. Je pense que c'est des approches un peu plus de ce genre qu'il faudrait, c'est vers des approches plus de ce genre qu'il faudrait tendre. Donc, je maintiens que la gestion de crise ou bien la communication en crise, nous, pour les gérer, pour faire face, il faudrait avoir en vue la famille, quoi, ou la vie en couple. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, René. We had a question in the chat for Wikimedia Foundation. Would you like to add something? Would you like to add something else to that question?
Sorry, Gurana, which one was that?
How long does it take for you to process?
Yes. So Barbara and I just put initial thoughts to this. Usually, depending on a crisis and the severity of it, we try to get back as much as possible within the same day, even possibly sometimes in real time. Just actually acknowledging that this has happened and we have it, and at the same time, more often than not, we require some other team to coordinate with us, be it the legal team or the trust and safety team, or movement communications are much closer to the communities. So we try to get back and try starting the process of getting as much information within the same day. Of course, the more time, the better, in case this is a budding situation where it hasn't reached press, but there are elements of it that you can see on ground. Like, for instance, we worked last year with Paolo and Wikimedia Italia for the fundraising issues that were taking place. We did take some time, about a week or so, for us to develop the messaging, for us to prepare as the reports were expected to come out. So more the lead time, the better for us. But in case it's an emergency, we're definitely there most of the time within the same day to cater to your needs.
Thank you very much, Vidu. Okay, so we have like a couple of minutes left for this learning clinic today, and we have one more question left, and that is, we have already talked about this, but let's finalize, or let's sum up our learning clinic today. The last question was how to choose that one person for PR if no one has experience in communication. But additionally to this, I would like to ask you to give your final thoughts about this topic and to sum up this learning clinic, and to ask you to be quick because we don't have much time left. Paolo, maybe you would like to start?
Well, it's difficult to suggest how to choose who should talk to the press if they have no experience with that. I would say somebody who's tend not to be stressful, or I think that being quiet and having clear in your mind what you have to say and don't lose your point is really important. And also about the crisis, I would say the thing I learned also talking with the Wikimedia Foundation, with Vidu, was that crisis communication happen, but then they pass also. So it's not the end of the world, even if in that real moment it seems to be, but it goes on.
Thank you very much, Paolo. Natalia, Jolanta, would you like to share your final thoughts about this topic?
Well, I can say that I was very inspired by the case studies that were mentioned here, and people brought amazing attitudes, and they describe contexts that are not that familiar to me. So I'm full of respect for those who have to struggle with crisis communication in much more severe circumstances than ours. This is inspiring, and you guys are heroes. Just for the last word, I can say that communication is a skill that we learn throughout the whole life. And we can never stop. We can never say that we're perfect, we're good. And that's what I'm trying to remember about that. Even if we are experts in social media or anything, it's just about dealing with human behavior, and humans are not predictable, and we change throughout our lives. So I really like the fact that we also mentioned like personal skills and attitudes as an important factor.
At the end, I say that communication crises now are built from two pillars. One, the media, social media, mainstream media, and the second pillar is people. So you should always think about people, how they react, how they think, how they respond to your communication. And you should always think about media, how they think, what is important for media, and how they react. And you should build your communication on these two pillars, because the two pillars connected made the crisis or the success in communication.
Thank you very much. It's very good to hear that we are always learning, and that we do still learn every day, especially on the topic like this. Barbara, would you like to share your final thoughts with us about this topic?
Just that it's been amazing working together with everybody and sharing our thoughts and experiences as well, and that we're always here for any help you need or support. I'll pass it to Vidya.
Yeah, out of my mouth, I agree. It's inspiring to also see and understand that we're not alone in this. We've all had shared experiences, some crises which we've gone through personally, or others that we see which are common. But like I said, they pass on. It's the learning that we take out of it, and at the end of the day, the good faith that we need to maintain with the audiences that matter to us. And media covers stories on and off, but at the end of the day, we're responsible and answerable to ourselves as well as the movement, and that's what we need to stay true to.
Thank you, Vida, for this comment. I will now share a link to all of the participants. Well, once again, as Jessica said, please leave your feedback for the session. This is for all the sharers, this is for the participants. Please help us improve. If you have any comments, you can reach out to any member of the Let's Connect working group, to me, to Gorana, or to Jessica, with your comments on the learning clinic, so we know what to keep or what to change for any future clinics. And I would like to encourage all of you, our sharers, to connect to each other if you want to continue the discussion we had today, or you want to continue exchanging ideas or your resources, as well as all of our participants. Please feel free to contact our sharers if you have any more questions or would like to follow up on any topics. We hope that the space we gave you today was useful for all of you, and we hope to see you at the next learning clinics. That's all from me. Gorana, Jessica, if you have any closing words, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Maciej. I would like to ask everyone to open your mics and just to say goodbyes to all of us. But before that, Jessica, I took Jessica's word. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say the same thing. This is the point where we just open our mics, everybody, and say goodbye. Give us all a round of applause and appreciation for being here on a Friday, and for all the efforts you put into your work. So, and thank you to our sharers and our interpreters that do a very hard work to make this more inclusive. So open your mics.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dziękujemy.